Hey guys, welcome back to the Max Spence Business Podcast. Today I have a very special guest, but before I jump into that, if you guys like the content I'm putting out, the people I'm interviewing, please like, subscribe, leave a review. It helps out a ton with the podcast and also the people that are coming on the show. If you can go over to Apple Podcasts and leave a review, that helps out a ton as well. So without further ado, today's guest is Bill. I'm probably going to butcher his last name, but Sioulas or...
It's a Greek name. It's all a bunch of vowels. Don't worry about it.
Yeah,
Bill is fine. It's Sioulas, but let's go with Bill.
All right. Awesome. Yeah. So Bill has actually been in commercial real estate for 45 years, which is, like, to be honest, out of everybody I've spoken to, that's probably the longest amount of time that I've spoken to somebody. And that's the longest amount of time they've been in that single industry. So I think, it's going to be really cool talking with you, hearing about all the different stuff we're going to talk about today. But yeah, so he's currently the director of real estate for GoPro Holdings, a commercial real estate investment firm. But yeah, so it's great having you on the show, Bill.
Oh, good. Glad to be here. And 45 years, that's right. If we got 45 minutes, I could cover each year 1 minute and we're done.
Awesome. So for people that maybe have not come across your content or anything like that, so just starting from the beginning, where did you grow up? What school did you go to? And what was your first passion?
Wow. Let's see. There's 3-4 questions at the same time. Let's start with Montreal. I was born in Montreal. Raised in the McGill ghetto. Of course, a Greek immigrant family, typical. Dad in the restaurant business. My mom worked as hospitality services in the hospitals. And I was running around in the streets, getting in trouble, the usual, at a young age. Until my uncle said, let me grab you and bring you to one of my buildings here and put you in there as maybe help as a summer job with the janitors. So this building was owned by a huge corporation called Trizic Corporation. Back then it was owned by Edward and Peter Brofman, sort of the Brofman dynasty, if anybody has heard of. And this company had about $12 billion in assets. So wow. They included such, if you know some Montreal buildings, at Place Marie, the one with a little light going around it. So my passion initially in high school was, believe it or not, astronomy, astrophysics. I was shooting for the stars, literally. I wanted to be an astronaut. But going into some technical drawing and learning how to draft and working on a summer job in that factory that my uncle brought me in, my technical drawing skills came handy as the manager of that particular property asked me, I have a tenant that wants to move in, but he's a size 11 and I want to fit him in a size 7 shoe. Can you design the space for me? And lo and behold, I worked out a design at home, brought it to him and made it to the head office of Place Marie. It sort of triggered their interest of who's this guy? And I went to that head office and the commercial real estate career started in Plaza Marie back in 1975, 76. And been with that company for 12 years, where I call it my Trizic University. This is where I learned and built the passion on commercial leasing, development, marketing. There was all my experience was done there. My mentors being, of course, sort of a North American billion-dollar development company that I was under their wings and to learn. And I remember when I graduated, I went to Montreal Tech as a college to learn building technology. And when I asked, can I go to McGill and do a Bachelor of Commerce, and the VP at that time, Jacques Rabinovich, I remember him well, said, don't bother. From now on, you're in every board meeting. You're only going to learn theory anyways. Let's get into the grind of things. And here I am at the age of 22, 23 years old, attending a meeting with Air Canada's CEO and the Ministry of Transport, negotiating a lease in one of the buildings where they're going to take 40% of it, and you're learning commercial leasing inside those boardrooms at a very young age. So I've been fortunate to sit in these boardrooms and also to be dealing with the holding company of Edper and Trizic Developments, because they did not only own Trizic, they owned a number of real estate companies. They owned the Montreal Forum, they owned the Montreal Canadiens, they owned Labatt's, London Life, Royal Trust, He's International. That organizational chart just kept growing as I was studying the company, and it wound up being $111 billion of assets back in 1981.
Wow.
So this is where I grew up in commercial real estate.
Yeah.
pretty much. And so I learned a lot there. And from there, so I started a summer job cleaning, technical drafting, and freight elevator operator. And it got creative there too. The creative part is where I like to focus on too, because my career is every time I would take on a job, I would always try and initiate something and create it. And to clean the floors and the washrooms on these long corridors of that type of warehouse, I wore my roller skates just to be different. So I would roller skate down the hallways, pushing the broom, changing the toilet paper, cleaning the washrooms, roller skate back to the freight elevator operator, guide whoever was doing deliveries, and it just went on from there. But so yeah, you see all the Italian, Greek ladies in the manufacturing coming out. I give them a show, pull a couple of 360s in the hallway, big applause. That's where I grew up. And that was up until 88, from freight elevator operator to working with commercial leasing at the end in 1988 for Eastern Canada. So I had a 5 million square foot portfolio under me, covering from Montreal all the way to Halifax Maritime Center. So yeah, it was huge. And from there, I was headhunted out. I went for a company, worked Monet. They were developing the new Quebec head office for Bank of Nova Scotia on Sherbrooke Street. So here I am now handling the marketing of a new 26-story, $110 million tower, trying to negotiate leases with huge companies to put them in there. And then, all of a sudden, real estate market hit the aerodynamics of a brick. So you were doing deals that were 6-7 years of financing out of a 10-year deal. So,
Wow.
just to try and get him into the building. Yeah. So there were the good times and the bad times, obviously, after 45 years that I've experienced.
Yeah.
Including industrial portfolios. Yeah, I could go on and on, but
Yeah.
I'll let you throw the questions. You guide me what you want answered, and we'll go from there.
Awesome. Yeah.
But that's the basic foundation of my career, was with the huge billion-dollar corporation.
Yeah, and that's why I'm really excited for this podcast, right? To dive into that, because 45 years in real estate and what you've done in the 45 years of real estate has been really incredible, super interesting, and I know a lot of people would love to hear about that. So when did it sort of and I sort of really love that you started at like these sort of like humble beginning of just like roller skating up and down the hallways, doing this type of stuff, to then being in boardrooms dealing with like 50 or 60 like $1 million buildings and like all these huge tenants, trying to find them places and stuff. So it's yeah, so I think it's going to be really cool. But now sort of moving into so like with the current company you are with now, is that your own company, or do you have partners, or how does that sort of operate?
No, it's a sole proprietorship. It's Mr. Goldie Singh owns GoPro Holdings. He also owns and president and owner of Econo Petroleum. He runs the Econo Petroleum business, and he brought me in with my experience, and he says sort of like, here are the keys, run GoPro. You do what you need to do, and he left it up to me, sort of thing. So I'm the face, the decision maker, the budget, the lease assumptions, the investments, everything that has to do with the GoPro right now. For the last 6 years, I've been developing and growing the portfolio, and growing some more. Within the next probably month, we'll announce that we picked up another block. in Ottawa, and hopefully in July, I get my zoning bylaw amendment approved by City Council, where we're putting up 510 apartment units on the corner of Clyde and Baseline,
Wow.
two towers of 22 and maybe 26 floors if the zoning is approved for that height.
Yeah.
So we're exponentially,
Yeah.
one building, two, then four, then five, and all of a sudden, we're not pretty fast for
Yeah.
5 6 years, and turning the buildings around, and satisfying also the lenders on the all the NOIs and the returns on investment,
Mhm.
where the banks love us now, and they keep knocking on the door to lend us money, and we're the ones that now are more pick and choose who we can deal with.
Yeah, 100%. And when you sort of get to the level that you guys are operating at, like everybody's like, you have an amazing track record. You've been in the business for so long. Like people, there's probably people lining up being like, hey, like here, take the money, so we can get a return on it, because we know that we can trust you within. We know that you know what you're doing, and you're gonna be able to execute on what you say you're gonna do, right? So yeah, but I sort of now want to jump into sort of tailoring the rest of this podcast, really just talking about sort of some advice to the younger generation, like people my age, in their 20s, like early 20s. The majority of my demographic is 23 to 27. So, giving advice about how to get into commercial real estate, the investment side of stuff, but then also talking about a specific deal that you guys have done. And I think the deal that we're going to be speaking about is Mercury Court in Byward Market, or I believe it's 377 Dalhousie and Rito, if I got that right. But yeah, it's a heritage building, like absolutely beautiful building. Like people in Ottawa will probably know it. The listeners that are out of, like, let's say in the US or other places, I would say highly recommend that you go on to Bill's site, like GoldPro Holdings, and you can actually check out, if you actually go on their website, click on properties, it'll be the first one at the top. It'll be 377 Dalhousie, and click on that. You'll have a look at the building. The building's absolutely beautiful, like A class real estate, commercial real estate. Like I was having a look at it and I was like, this is absolutely amazing. Like what you guys have sort of done with the place and how beautiful it is. So actually jumping into that and speaking about that, why don't we sort of start from the beginning of, like, how did you guys sort of find out about this deal, and that, the people this was actually for sale?
Well, we picked up that building back in July 2015. Our first building was really the strip mall on Clyde and Baseline. Now that we're looking at putting up the two towers, because we saw the potential of the city going with rapid transit system in the area, and we're going to look for high density. So our first purchase was that strip mall, holding on to it, getting still a good return, but the highest and best use would be that future planning committee approving high density in that area, which they have. And now all of a sudden we're great at putting up those two towers and increase the value tremendously on that corner. Then we were looking at other properties, and one of our broker friends brought us to the Dunn's building across the street. And he says, this one here, it might be interesting for you guys. Second building, it's in the market, see what you like. And I looked at it, and with Goldie, and I looked at it and I said, no, what about this one across the street? He says, well, that's not for sale. I said, yes, it is. Yes, it is. I said, who's the landlord? Let's talk. And long story short, we did the deal with the building across the street, even though it was not on the market for sale. I sort of looked at it and saw its potential. Originally built in 1923. The first third of it, then it was built, second third was built later on, and then in the 90s, there was another extension done to the building. So if you were asking me what the floor load is of the building, I'd say the front is about 45 pounds a foot, the part is about 55, and the new one's about 85. So it depends where you want to put all your heavy equipment. The floors vary. So it's really three attachments to the original. The reason I like that building is not one because of its heritage value. That was one. I'm always looking at properties that we could turn around, turn a heritage building into a millennial building.
Mhm.
This is what we were looking at. We know Ottawa is government and high tech, and I'm sure a lot of high tech companies were going to want to grow in the Byward market because that's where all the action is. An
Yeah.
example, the Shopify and some of the other ones. I really didn't see much going out into the Canada area when it was building then. I said, oh, they're probably going to come back downtown because of also of the development of all the residential and condos and high rises that are still going on today. So the density is really picking up in the Byward market. So hence I said, I want this building. And that building turned around because I saw a lot of revenue potential. The price that we negotiated was at 25 million. It was in the newspaper, and the market in general said that we paid too high. The broker is saying, you really overpaid because it wasn't for sale. We wanted it. We paid a little higher for it.
Yeah.
But bringing in that experience, I would then renovate from the basement area, turn it into leasable area. So that brought additional revenue. I saw that all the restaurants back then, the Gabriel Pizza, the Cora's, the Second Cup, and the Lone Stars, all had garbage containers in that little back lane. So I cleaned it all out. I said, we're going to put a mini compactor and a cardboard. This let me use the parking space now for tenants in the building where I'm grabbing revenue from. So these little points of increasing revenues where they weren't there before,
Hmm.
finding where can I get some more money here, where can I get some more money there, renegotiating leases with tenants by upgrading the building. So we must have spent at least another 2.5 million of capital in the building. So you could say now we brought it up to 26, 27 million money of dollars went into that
Yeah.
building, but now it's got the latest and the greatest of everything in
Mhm.
there. LED motion activated lighting, low flush toilets, brand new elevator systems. The HVAC system is state of the art. It's a smart
Yeah.
building. Yeah, so it measures the CO2s in the room and it automatically increases the fresh air.
Yeah,
So the
I was actually reading that, and I was reading that with the renovations and what you guys have done. And I was like, holy crap, like this is absolutely like insane. And I was looking at the pictures, and I was like, if I was gonna work at a company, I was like, I want to work at this place. I was like looking at like the designs, the lighting, everything that you guys have done to the place. I was like, it
yeah,
looks absolutely gorgeous inside.
yeah.
Absolutely amazing. And that's
Well,
that, that
yeah.
that's
So for your investors and for the youth, what's important is the number one thing we look at in the building is safety, life and safety features. Very important. Sprinklers, fire alarms, elevator systems. What are the people breathing? HVAC. What kind of air is circulating in there? We even went as far as talking with the fire department, bringing them in, and even giving presentations to our tenants how to use fire extinguishers. What happens when a fire is going? Sort of a little seminar conference in the building. So the life safety systems is a number one priority that we're looking for. The second part that we move into is the environmental, where the lighting, the water usage, and with the new HVAC system, we decreased CO2 emissions by 41 tons. So and Enbridge sent us a certificate saying, congratulations, the design of this, you now decrease CO2 emissions by 41 tons on this building. So that was huge.
yeah.
And obviously in the background, you're also increasing the revenues by renovating basements and using parking lots and renovating tenant spaces. From the environmental, the next step is we got hit with a pandemic.
Yeah.
So what do we do there? All right, and right away, March, when we had the shutdown, during the month of April, already built out my pandemic guide, which is on our website. Anybody can read it. We installed UV lighting throughout our HVAC systems. We've applied antimicrobial on all our high contact surfaces. We've We've done electrostatic cleaning. We've changed procedures. Our elevators get wiped down and disinfected every 30 minutes. Our washrooms every 90 minutes. So the procedures have changed. The guides have changed in the building. So now it's ready for anybody to come in. And now we're going for the final phase. We're going to one up that by working with the Rick Hansen Foundation to have full accessibility for any employee to come in that has any type of handicap, whether they're vision impaired, wheelchair, deaf, and it's simple stuff. You change your fire bells with strobe and bell so they could see and hear. Your emergency staircases have the special treads that, when you're partially blind, you could sort of see how the stair with the yellow stripes, Braille. So we're working with the Rick Hansen Foundation to work that step. So all these steps are adding to the building. And this now attracts the big companies, the TripAdvisors, the Alarm.coms, the Rebels that were in there. You sit there and they love the space because you cater to their staff. And that's the other thing we do as well is we build relationships with all our tenants. We are their real estate partner. So if you form your own company and you come in, I'll tell you, Max, question for you. What do you want me to do to the building that will attract the top talent for your company?
Yeah.
So within your premises, you could bring him in. As soon as they step out, I added bike rooms, I added lockers, I added showers. Okay, so anybody that wants to ride their bike in, they bring it to the basement. It's locked. You have your security access to grab your bike. It's also under video surveillance, and we have and we work with you to sort of help you gain the staff. Security was another issue. Many buildings have security within the building. We're in the Byward market. I decided to try a sort of a project where I would do the security covering Dalhousie, Rideau, George, and Cumberland, the whole block. So I went to all the beer store, the Rexalls, they all had security guards. And I said to them, we're all paying separately for security. Let's all have a meeting in my office. I had 27 people in my office, including city councilor. I even had Matthew Fleury. I had a whole bunch of people in there, and we started talking about security and what we can do to improve it. So I said, look, I'm going to try a pet project. We're gonna hire security, and we're all going to pitch in, and they're only going to cover that block, and they're going to know all the homeless. They're going to know all the people in the Salvation Army, and we're going to try it for 6 months and see how it goes. This was 4 years ago. It's still happening now.
Wow.
So everybody loved the program. So the Lone Stars or the Second Cups, even people that work in the call center late, all have walkie-talkies in their offices. Any incident of any kind, they pick up the walkie-talkie and the security is there within minutes. Where the police will dispatch him, they'll come, it'll be 45 minutes, an hour, or just phone this number and give us a report. Yeah. Doesn't work. Yeah. How can I protect my tenants? And this system worked very well. And when Chief Slowly came on board, we had another meeting. He showed up at our GoPro office with Matthew Fleury again, and the NCC, and the tourism board, and the hotel board. So again, another dozen people showed up in the office, and we said, now we want police to do sort of walks, instead of driving, get to know the neighborhood and have the same one. So it's worked out well. Security and safety has increased in the neighborhood. I didn't look only for our building, and that benefits our tenants. And with an embassy in there that's now renewed again, another 5 years with us, is because of these reasons. What we've done to the building, how we service them, how we care with security with them. So where else are we going to get this? And this is what we do. We try to go above and beyond and thinking outside the box, in this case, outside the building.
Yeah, no, 100%. And just listening to that, like, yeah, like it's obvious why you've been so successful is like you're like you said at the beginning, like with the simple thing of rollerblading down the hallway to make things more efficient and faster. You're just like how your brain, like from what I've heard, you like how your brain sort of works is just like you're always trying to find creative ways or interesting ways that, hey, can we add more revenue? Can we make this better for a tenant? Like sort of preemptively thinking about like what are the tenants' needs, what are the tenants' needs of the future, and how can we sort of cover those bases today, which I think is absolutely an amazing way of thinking about
That's
real
it.
estate and business. Whereas like I've had lots of like different entrepreneurs, real estate holders, on the show, and the ones that always, like for real estate, the ones that always do the best that I've sort of seen is they always say that they always sort of preach the same thing and say same thing is like it's not really like, it's not you, like let's say this is in like the residential side, it's not the landlord versus the tenant. It's like the tenant is your client, like that's the person who's paying the bill for your mortgage, for like all the other stuff, like they're actually your client. Like and I had one guy talking about it who's on the residential side, and he says like a lot of landlords need to change their thinking from like not being like, oh, there's like it's me versus my tenant. It's like, no, this is my client. This is like the person that's coming into my shop to buy like the fruits and veggies or whatever, right? And I really love how you sort of have that outlook of thinking like what can we do to make this the best experience possible
Oh,
for
it
the
is.
client?
And Max, we did all this and reduced their operating costs.
Yeah.
Okay. So they're like, how does this happen? I say, well, example, like for the waste, like everybody paid their own waste company. Well, when I brought the compactor in, I cut it by 60%.
Yeah.
So I reduced the expenses by 60% and I increased my revenue for parking.
Yeah.
So these are little things. Lone Star had their window cleaner. Second Cup had their own window cleaner. Chorus had their own window cleaner. I said, hold on, let me get one company. I want the whole building clean. I don't want to walk clean window, clean window, dirty window. It doesn't work.
Yeah.
So let me do the whole thing. And that also reduces by 75% of their cost.
Wow.
So it's, yeah. So these are the little things that you go to them and you say, how can I help you? Let me see where I could save you some money. And I've done this too when I worked with Conundrum Capital Corp when I was a regional director, when I had all the industrial portfolio. I had about 3 million square feet, 300 tenants, Montreal and Ottawa here. And back then, if you remember, the hydro deals with a provincial benefit and the global adjustment, I couldn't budget for hydro for the tenants because the hydro went through the roof, the good old McGinty days. So as a landlord, I could have said, well, here's the bill, here's your proportionate share. Sorry, that's what it is. I have no control over that. But what I did was I called the business journal. I made the front page of the business journal. I complained and I showed them the numbers. This led me all the way to Queen's Park. They flew me there to meet the Minister of Energy and Infrastructure. And I said, what are you doing? My tenants can't afford this. You're getting it out of control. Let's see how we could fix this. And he had a staff of 8 people taking notes. I didn't go there to say, don't do it. I said, this is how you should do it in order for them to make it work out. So shows the tenants like, I'm trying to help you.
Yeah.
Look how far I got, So the article, I think, was the hidden costs of going green.
Mm-hmm.
That was the article. If anybody wants to Google hidden costs of going green and my name, they'll read the article that I was interviewed at the Ottawa Business Journal. But I would go that far and stretch and help them because, like I said, I'm their real estate partner, not the landlord against tenant, as you said, for successful.
Yeah, 100%. So now sort of talking about, you have tons of experience in real estate and commercial real estate, sort of speaking to a younger audience, like people in their 20s at university, or, getting into their first career, sort of, getting their first career, but they've always like, they want to get into commercial real estate and they want to get into like the asset side of buying commercial real estate, owning it or investing in it and all this other type of stuff. Like what would be your recommendations that, what's sort of like a good way to get in it, get your foot in the door with like, commercial real estate?
Well, you have to have the passion for it, and in commercial real estate, there's a lot of sort of branches that you have to consider. Your relationship with, if you're a broker, how are you going to approach companies? How are you going to present yourself to represent them to other landlords? If you want to go into commercial real estate development, how are you with the trades and construction? There's the marketing side of it. There's a commercial leasing side of it. I was fortunate to cover it all as much as I can over the years. But if you have that keen interest, if you want to just go into commercial leasing, I'm old school. I like to sit and down and look at you in the eyes and not on the phone. It's you've learned over the years the person's body language. You learn over the years, what they're thinking. You get to read what they're looking for. You learn how to listen. That's key. Listen, be the last one to speak. How can I help you? What do you need? And let them speak, and then take all your notes and go. So commercial real estate is really, as you would say, those interviews. I'm a people person, that sort of thing. It is. This is what it is. I remember I tried once working in a bank, and the computer would tell me what to do because it would give me numbers. I was out of there after 3 months. I go, this is not for me. Or if you go with or when you're with bigger companies working with REITs, and you're one of the people that you're dealing with, your client, but you need 7 initials to change the light bulb. That's not for me. Then you're in a pigeonhole saying you're just doing this, and if you need approvals, you need 10 of them. And my clients would get upset and it delays. Here, I'd say, I do the deal with you today. I'll do the lease on the weekend. You'll have the space Monday. That's it. So your relationship with tenants, your relationship with lenders, your relationship with trades, this is very important. Even the trades themselves, I build a good team of electricians, plumbers, HVAC people, but I also pay them within 10 days.
Mm-hmm.
So I go, your check is sitting here. Are you done? Finish up. It's not the 60, 90 days, 120 days wait, because when I call them and I need them because a tenant has an issue, they show up within the hour. And this is where the advantages are. So for you younger guys, I don't know. I've always said to my son as well, he's more of a computer geek. I'm not into computers. I don't know much. I mean, I call my dentist to fix my Bluetooth. I mean, I don't. Or, I still think microchip is a small snack food. I'm more, I'm more of, let me come and see you. Let's grab a lunch. Let's meet for coffee. How can I help you? What can I need? What are your requirements? So whether you go for your broker's license through OREA, or you go for your CPM through the Real Estate Institute of Canada, or IREM, the Institute of Real Estate Management out of Chicago, those I would recommend if you're interested. This designation that you'll have as a CPM or any one of their programs through the Real Estate Institute of Canada is recognized internationally. Mm-hmm. So you could go to the States and be designated as a certified property manager. They know what you know. You could go to South Korea, you could go to Brazil, you could go to Japan. And I've been to these international conferences and seminars where I would sit down and I would chat with the Japanese delegation of real estate guys, and there would be one guy that translating to them, like, it was really awesome. But they needed information from me. How do I handle this? I needed information for them. What are your protocols for earthquakes? That sort of approach. Or I would sit down with the CPMs from St. Louis, and they would ask me a few questions, and I would ask them, what are your protocols for riots? Mm-hmm. You learn from them. So then your knowledge expands, and you build an international network of people through this type of program. that you should look into and get recognized internationally. You get up, you want to go to Vancouver, you're recognized. Whereas OREA is OREA. I have my Quebec real estate license. I came here. They said, no, when I worked with regional as a broker, they said, no, you need an Ontario. Okay, let me do the courses again. Then you get your Ontario real estate license. Then some people wanted me to manage their condominiums. Oh no, now you have to take the condominium courses. I go, geez, you know, come on, man. I got 45 years experience. Oh no, you got to take real estate law and ethics, and it's like learn how to draw and do squares. Like, oh god, I don't have time for this.
yeah. No, 100%. Yeah, that's actually like really interesting. Like just hearing about that, so going into a little bit more depth with that, like, so sort of like looking back on your career, and from what I've heard so far, like you've had a very varied career. You've worked in a lot of different spaces, and you sort of like you're very well rounded. Instead of going like very narrow into one thing, like you know a bit of everything. Like looking back on it, like somebody who's in their 20s, like do you think at the beginning should they focus on narrowing down into like one passion that they like about real estate, or trying to go a little bit broad? Like what would be the best, like sort of speaking in terms of like what would be the best use of their time to get to a level where they can start earning a higher income and enjoy what they're doing?
Yeah, well, I would if I was back at 20, 22 years old and I wanted to get in commercial real estate, I would look into the CPM, certified property management courses, because then they also offer the FRIs and that. This will give you a knowledge on property management. The property management alone introduces you to leasing. If you want to be an allocated leasing officer after that, if you want to branch out to that, introduces you to the construction side, introduces you to the finance investment side of the businesses. So the property management scope, if you learn that, you'll see in there where the interest might lie further if you wanted to step outside the property management division and focus as an ALO, an allocated leasing officer. So that would be what I would do. Because if anybody would come to me and say, he's 27, I just did my CPM course, I know what he knows or she knows. Mm-hmm. Good, here, do this.
Yeah.
And hand them a few buildings and say, yeah, here's the budgets, run them. I know the procedures they're going to do because it's the templates they're going to learn in school, in these courses. Universities don't really apply these type of courses. I don't see them. You can get your Bachelor of Commerce. I've had, I remember a number of years ago, I think it was CBRE, Richard Ellis, they hired a couple of MBAs, and they called me and they said, Bill, we want these two guys to come and follow you for 2 days. That's it, just to get an idea of what you're doing and how things work. I said, sure, bring them along. They totally were like, what the hell? They were overblown. Like, we don't do this in school. I go, no, you don't. This is the quick thinking, go, you're talking about construction, then you hit the leasing deal, then you're looking at the investment. And then I go downstairs and I pick up the mop and I'm showing the guy, this is how you have to mop the floor, not like this. So yeah, so I've done it with many maintenance people. I got dressed up and I said, I'm cleaner for the day. And my tenants watch me washing the windows, cleaning, because I have to show the guy how I want it done.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I said, so book me Friday, I am maintenance. That's it. So yeah, so you have 45 years experience, but I have the cleaning side too. I want it cleaned this way. I said, when there's smudges on the window, you just don't clean the smudge. You do the whole window.
Yeah. Yeah. No, 100%. And like that's like this actually reminds me of a conversation I was having with another guy. He's sort of like 25, 26, really smart guy. He's in the US. He does apartment buildings, like syndication, buying them, like doing that type of investments. But one of like he partnered with a guy to open a company, and the guy he sort of partnered with is somebody like you. Like the guy started as like a maintenance technician, and he knew everything from the ground up. Like he knew everything. Like he started as a maintenance technician, and now he does like he's doing what you're doing, but on the apartment building side. Well, I mean, you guys do apartment buildings as well, development. But it was just, I don't know, it was just bringing me back to the conversation that we were having. Like that is like that all that information is so useful. Just to like, and some people think like, oh, well, like if I want to get into commercial real estate, why would I do this or why would I do that? It's like just being around commercial real estate is going to help you with commercial real estate. It doesn't matter what you're doing, right? But yeah, we're coming to the end here, and yeah, it's been an absolute pleasure having you on the show. But before we wrap it up, is there anything else that you'd want to say to like to the? And I know you've said a lot, and you brought a lot of knowledge. But is there anything else that you like on the top of your head, or any other pieces of advice? Like, it doesn't have to be commercial real estate related or business related, or any other advice that you want to mention.
Sure. I've come up with a word with anything you do. Have finitiative. Whatever you initiate, finish it. That's key. Don't initiate something and then you're having a hard time. You're going to have bumps in the road. Finish it. Another important thing is don't waste any time with anything that antagonizes your character. Mm-hmm. This is really important. It's the reputation that you need out there in order to have the integrity and respect in the community. That's key. When I was nominated to sit on the board of Algonquin College, one thing they said to me that stuck to me was, "Thank you for joining us, and thank you for lending us your name." Mm-hmm. Okay, this is what's key here. This is what you have to be careful of. And I've done a lot of philanthropic work out there, whether it's the Heart Institute or the Algonquin College, or even sitting on the board of the Ottawa Symphony Orchestra. You build your network, get to know people, get to know the community. If you're into commercial leasing, you got to deal with people. Don't just focus on that and the same group of 2-3 friends. Get out, sit on this board, get to know more people there, help with the homeless, I do golf tournaments to raise money for the homeless veterans. I go speak to the veterans. I go speak to the homeless youth in the streets. From the homeless youth to the CEOs of companies, they're all the same. You treat them with respect, and we work it out. And just to give you an idea, the one thing they asked me for the pandemic was, one, they need a dentist to fix their teeth because they want to be presentable. And number two, they ask me, I go, "Do you need food?" They go, "They no cigarettes." I go, "Cigarettes? What do you need cigarettes for?" Because there's no more butts on the sidewalk because of the pandemic. So try and figure out, the type of and how, they are, and you're trying to help. And this is what's key. From, like I said, the homeless person to the CEO, everybody's the same. You treat them the same. Total respect out there, have integrity, and that's it. I even have a homeless guy that I leave behind my lot of Mercury Court. He kicks water bottles around. He thinks he's a soccer player. I brought him a soccer ball. Yeah. And I play with him too, and the police come by, I go, no, he's fine here. He's good, And this homeless guy, I would give him $5 or $10 and I'd say, go get a soup. And what does he do? He goes and buys me a lottery ticket. So you go figure it out. Wow. Yeah. So this is what I mean by getting respect from the homeless person to the respect to the CEO. Yeah. That's an amazing point to leave the podcast. But yeah, thank you again, Bill, for coming on the show. It's been an absolute pleasure, hearing about your story and hearing about, the Mercury Court, hearing the advice you've given. It's been absolutely amazing. Where can people find out more about, your personal brand, the company, and if they want to reach out to have a conversation with you? Well, I'm on LinkedIn. They could find me on LinkedIn. They could find me through the website under our admin email. It's I'm easy to find.
Yeah.
I'm not hiding.
Yeah.
Anybody needs anything, we're good to go. Okay.
Awesome. Awesome. Well,
Max, thank you very much. Again, it was great. Sioulas, okay.
yeah.
I don't
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
you know that. And
Awesome.
we'll close it from there. Okay. Thank you again.